My little chapel down there. Obviously night time. Right, so here we are. As one is. In a police cell by Newcastle, I found myself writing about my years. How they've been spent. So, from 1990 to 1998, 1990 is when I met my former wife. Well, I moved to a town called Newport Pagnell in Buckinghamshire, in England, with me horse, as one does, dog, cat, motorbike, car. And there I was, and there she was, my former wife, at the stables. I don't want to ramble on about her, quite frankly. And along came Robert Francis, my son, who subsequently committed suicide at the age of 18. I only found out 2 years later. No one told me. It's a funny old world, isn't it? Anyway, so having fought in the English courts for 5 or 6 years, taken it to the High Court twice myself, taken it to the European Commission of Human Rights myself, I thought, right, sod this for a bunch of monkeys. It's getting nowhere. I spend my whole life just going around in ever-decreasing circles, quite frankly. No justice, obviously. Out of the filthy, foul little English system. Aha! So I bogged off to La Belle France. J'étais là à Saint-Pierre-la-Bourgogne. So I went to the mountains in France. I'd seen a friend had a place out there, and I'd seen this property. It only cost £12,500. And I bought it cash. I mean, I got the actual francs and just paid for it like that to make sure the transaction went through properly. So 3 years, 3 winters at Saint-Pierre. La neige était restant à 1 mètre. So you put resting snow a yard high outside your door. So if you don't dig your way out, you just snowed in, basically. It was wonderful, and the summers were wonderful too, because they got really quite hot, and all these wonderful wild flowers in the mountains. And eventually I bogged off to Holland, then had 2 winters in Holland at number 29 Professor Holwaarde Streete by Dockham in the northwest corner of Holland. I then bogged off to South Africa, bought a beautiful brand new TD5 Land Rover. The first thing I checked was to get in the back. Could I sleep in her? My vehicles were always called Mademoiselle Eleanor after the Queen of Aquitaine, Henry II's wife. So yes, I could. So I think I did about 101,000 kilometers. It was kilometer clock. The South African vehicle. Brought it back to Britain as well and drove around. 2005, Mr. Tony Blair got voted back into power after the Second War in Iraq, and I couldn't stand England yet again. I mean, the man ought to be absolutely arrested, tried, convicted for crimes against humanity. Absolutely, and the same for Mr. George W. Bush. Monstrous what happened, just for the West soil. Anyway, they're not doing that. So I bogged off to India. I I had a 6-month visa, in fact, but I just found the poverty there just so appalling, and I couldn't do anything about it. That's what I felt. So anyway, I only stayed 2 months. I went off to New Zealand and Australia. I sort of came back to Europe, Sweden, flew back, Thai Airlines. The Swedes are really well organised at their Arlanda airport, it's called. There was snow, and they had an echelon of 11 ploughs just clearing the runway, and, so we could still fly. You don't get that in England, do you? Leaves on the line, train stopped. 2007 I got up to now. I bogged off to Canada, couldn't stand England again. My mother's first cousin, John Walker, was an actual real Spitfire pilot in the Second World War, and he went off to Canada, so I thought, okay, give Canada a whirl. So I did that, and I came back. It didn't work out. To Ingerland, and I was all over the show, 2008. And then 2009, the money I'm running out, man. So I was paying for all of that preceding 10 years of travel by the sale of our small family home in London. So I paid for it all myself. Right, so then Stone, Stafford, Blythe Bridge, sleeping out, minus 10 degrees. I've still got the same sleeping bag. This chap turned up one day, just casually dressed. Said, go to town, there's a camping shop there, and boots, coat, and a full Four Seasons Goose Down sleeping bag, the one I've got here in my room. It's in there. I've still got it, obviously. That's why I broke bail, because without that sleeping bag, I can't sleep out. Well, I can't see. What can I do? My money's going down the tubes. I've got to survive out. I've got a perfectly good home in Alnwick, but it's denied me at present. Extraordinarily. Quite extraordinarily, really. Fed up with England yet again, so I bogged off to à Camon, en France, Amiens, à côté de ça. So I went off to France again. And then, so this is 2010, 11. These are there'll be the Christmases. That's why I've noted where I was at Christmas. So 2011, 12, Perugia, Assisi for St. Francis. I love St. Francis of Assisi, so I was in Italy. 12, 13, someone gave me the use of their coach house on a farm back in England again, Stone. So I was a sort of caretaker for the winter there. 13, 14, I was in Rome. 14, 15, Dublin, Ireland. 15, 16, Longton Methodist Central Hall. So I had a room now for 2 winters in England. Back out to Rome. 2017, 18, 19, I came back. Trying to settle back up in the Highlands in Scotland. My ancestor, William Ross, was a missionary. He trained with Dr. David Livingstone, the missionary people will know. But anyway, William Ross was a missionary, my ancestor, from Scotland, farming background. So I was trying to get settled somewhere. So I tried up in Scotland, didn't work out. And I ended up back in St. Albans. I avoided becoming a priest at the Cathedral Abbey Church of St. Albans way back in the 90s. The Queen is the supreme governor of the Church of England, but she's the head of the army, and that's just wrong. Full stop. It's evil, actually, because she signs the orders that send people out to kill people, and to be the head of a church is evil. That makes the Queen evil. Bogged off to Peru just for the hell of it. 2019. And I had a little apartment through the council in St Albans for a year. I had another one in Harpenden for another year through the council with my own wee house, and then up to Alnwick. So I was sort of gradually coming in out of the cold. So all this crap that I'm booted out is crap. Utter crap. I don't go around thwacking children to the staff. I mean, please, it's just crap. Utter crap. And the lying woman who's done it is an evil little person. And she'll get her comeuppance. Right. I can't read this. Oh, yes. I was born on Table Mountain, now 1956, on Wednesday, the 12th of September, at 7:30 in the morning at 8 3/4 pounds. Good Lord. So lived in a very nice middle class, that's what I am. Mother with a maternity sister. I have an older brother, 3.5 years older. He's in Harley Street in London. Dr. Keith Bush, number 6 Harley Street. He does sort of sports injuries, getting top sports people back on the road, on the field or whatever. I mean, if he doesn't earn £1 million a year, it's a pretty bad show, really. But he wanted the money, so that's what he's gone for. I'm not interested at all. As long as I've got enough, that's fine. Anyway, older brother, mother brought us out of South Africa. We came back to England, basically London, Mill Hill, Edgware, Hendon, Mill Hill, Northwest, NW7. Number 94 Wise Lane, that was our home. I went to Belmont Junior School, then a minor public school, Mill Hill Public School, all very stable and normal. And 1805, the school was founded by John Pye Smith and Samuel Flavel. We had to learn that. So I remember that. And then I went to Bristol University to study medicine because that's what Mother wanted. I didn't particularly, and actually stopped my medical studies after the first year. I passed the exams with flying colours because I'm intelligent. But I didn't want to be a doctor. I then worked at the Royal National Orthopaedic Hospital, Stanmore, as a orthopaedic technician, Edgware General, the same thing, and the Royal Free. And I sort of bunged in Goldsmiths College for psychology, just to keep the old grey cells working. Went up to Scotland again, 1979, for heaven's sake. Dingwall, Easter Ross. Potted there. I was a tree feller for the Forestry Commission, earning, I think it was 7 pence a log. You cut them anyway. Back down to St David's University College, South Wales. I'd applied to King's College London for theology and music, but clearing through UCA then got me to Wales, where I met wonderful Sally. I'm about 23 at this time, 1980, 81. Came back, lived in St John's Wood, had a flat there. 1988, 3 to 8, I got into computing at this point. Office Bunny, So Thames Polytechnic for computing. I've been to 4 colleges of higher education. I don't have any paperwork to prove it. Never mind. I'm afraid I just sort of think, waste of space this. I'll give it a miss. Anyway, so computing, had my own company from 88 to 96, living in Mill Hill then, and then I moved to Newport Pagnell in 1990, where I met my former wife, and my son Robert Francis was born in 1992. That's about it. There we are, the life of old Francis. Even to suggest that I might have thwacked a small child of 4 years old. Not this staff, the police have still got my main staff. Is just, it's sort of beyond words, really. Therefore, the woman doing it is evil. And the other accusations, I'm meant to be this wild and woolly fellow who wanders around swinging his staff in the air, tensing up and looking aggressive. Well, I mean, it's just not what I do. But that's what she says. And so far, the legal authorities, the police and the courts and everyone have believed her utter twaddle. I don't wander around doing that. I mean, completely the reverse. I try to bring the light of Christ to shine in this dark world. I try to bring love into this world. So the picture painted by that one single woman in her official statements to the police is evil. It's just utter, completely contrary to what I am. And yet I'm painted by that one woman as that kind of person. And thus far, the authorities are believing her utter twaddle. Well, I can't have that. I absolutely want Crown Court. I want a jury. I don't want some blooming magistrate making up their minds about me. Okay, I want all this evidence to come out. All 4 arrests, 9 nights in police cells, all the harassment, calling me a paedophile, repeatedly, locked up in my own house for my own safety, putting in 666 on the front porch, the devil's number. That's really wicked, that. Posting comments on my sites, making abusive phone calls to my... all of that. I intend for it to come out willy-nilly and let a jury decide the rights and wrongs of it. Amen. I can't get the big candles anymore, so I don't light that one. So I've just got a tea light. But there is light here where I am, the light of Christ shining in this dark world. Amen.